Welcome to the Tuesday Review. I'm Nathan, as always, joined by Callum, James, and Alum in the studio. How you going, guys?
What's
Alan's back.
Alum's back.
He made it.
We are now whole.
Yes.
Before we get started tonight, we have a quick correction.
Oh, yes, just very quickly. Last week when we talked about Creed 3, I said the director of Creed 2 was named Ryan Capel Jr. His name's Stephen Capel Jr. because I was talking about Ryan Coogler.
He did the first one, yeah?
Yeah, he did the first one, and then I said Ryan Coogler, Ryan Capel, because it's RC, and then I was like, the Creed 2 was directed by Stephen Capel Jr., so I wanted to correct that because it annoyed me. But yeah, Alum's back in the country.
Alum went to India for a holiday, and now he's back.
Of sorts.
Of sorts.
And I spent, I'd say, a majority of the holiday with stomach issues. I mean, you go into the birthplace of diarrhea.
Regale us with tales of the home country, the homeland.
Well, I'll start you with my plane trip there.
Okay.
I was lucky enough to get 3 seats to myself.
Oh, that's good.
The plane was basically empty in the back. So I was sitting with my parents. They took a 3-seater to themselves each. And we kind of,
You lift up the arms and have a rest?
Yeah, I had a bit of a rest, stretch my legs, which was nice.
How long's the flight to India?
It's split between a 7-hour and a 5-hour.
That's not too bad.
That's okay, yeah.
It wasn't a bad trip overall. The food was terrible, which I expected better of you, Singapore Airlines. Shame on you. But, they got to recoup the costs of COVID. But they did have some nice in-flight entertainment. I got to watch Top Gun Maverick. Which was
you hadn't seen it?
You watched
a
weird plane-censored version?
So that was my question, right? I'm like, there's a lot of plane-related violence in this film.
Yeah, and this is all edited out. And it's just like...
It's just people flying planes and then you just see Tom Cruise
like a 10-minute movie.
Yeah, it's people flying planes and then they land. And
the moment anything gets like shot or anything, it's just like a blue screen.
It's like
confetti guns.
It's like Maverick on his motorbike, and then he gets to the hangar, and then it just cuts to him and Jennifer Connelly at the house. So you're like, hang on
a minute.
Where's all the flying?
That's a weird movie for the planes to endorse for in-flight
That's exactly
viewing,
what I thought.
Yeah.
Because at the very start of the movie, he's doing that Mark 10 test.
Yeah,
with the
test plane.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And so at the end of it, it kind of explodes. And I was wondering, because I had asked the boys, I'm like, is that the scene? Does the scene end relatively quickly, or do you see more explosions? Because in the plane, the scene ended very quickly.
Yeah.
Basically, you just kind of see the warnings, and the next thing you know,
I think it ended pretty quickly
comes apart,
memory.
and there's a little scene in the sky, and that's it. You don't see much after that.
I can't remember. I don't think you see the...
I presume it wouldn't be heavily edited because it's such a niche... It's not a niche film, but it's not like you're watching
It's also...
Air Force
it's not
One.
it's not about airlines.
Yeah, you're
it's
not
about
watching,
the Air Force.
Yeah, so you're not watching Air Force One with Harrison Ford.
Yeah, and even that's like the Air Force. If it was about a commercial flight, then that's different.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thanks to the plane, we're all alive.
So anyway, how did you feel about Top Gun Maverick? Did you enjoy it?
I did enjoy it quite a bit, actually.
We loved it, and James loved it, and James is a bit neutral on Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
and we watched it, and he was like, top film.
It's that type of movie that we always talk about, just actual, real, practical stunts and effects. And you don't get that in most movies anymore, and Tom Cruise is the only guy doing it. Yeah. So now, Maverick and Mission Impossible comes out soon, the next one. So, but I think Top Gun Maverick, I loved it.
Yeah.
And, that's...
So how did you feel about the final act, which we raved all about in our review?
Yeah, you think the movie's ending, and then all of a sudden...
How's the second end?
He runs, because he has to run, and then it keeps going. And it's like, yes...
I did think it was a bit goofy that they found a perfectly intact, old school plane.
That was hilarious. When he looks through the binoculars or whatever and he sees the hangar, and I'm like, they're not going to do it. I don't believe they're going to do it.
But, overall, I think they did quite well with having Miles Teller as Goose's son. I think
I think what I like about the movie as well is all the younger pilots are all cool as well. Yeah. Like, it's not just...
They're all characters. It's not just...
Yeah, it's not just Maverick is cool and the other characters, who cares?
I like it. I think we've mentioned this on the show before. One of the behind-the-scenes moments of this movie where Miles Teller said the actual getting ready for the movie was hell.
Yeah.
Because they had to follow Tom Cruise's training regimen, which is to be, quote, flight ready.
Yeah.
So they had to be basically
It's
flight
like James
ready.
said, he's like Captain America.
Yeah, he's insane. Like, he's 61.
Yeah.
He's insane.
And so, what did you watch? What was the other film? Did you watch any other interesting films during your flight?
I had to watch a classic, Fast and Furious, because
Did you watch the best one?
No, I didn't watch Tokyo Drift. I watched number 4.
Yuck.
Because I just, I was a bit nostalgic for the scene at the end where he's going to prison on the bus and they come around,
Just for that last scene.
And also the starting where they're robbing
the first half of 4 is okay. The second half is not that good, especially the end desert chase is really bad.
Pretty lame.
Yeah.
But that was one of my just, I guess, guilty pleasures. The other thing I watched on the way back was Le Batman.
Oh, did you enjoy that?
I did enjoy it, but there was also a lot of angst in that movie.
Very angsty.
Oh yeah,
it's Halloween.
It's 90s.
Did you not see
Batman,
like the eye makeup man?
Yeah, Batman is always emo, but this is like extra emo.
Yeah.
The Nirvana song that just keeps playing over, and I was like, "We get it, buddy. You're depressed.
Like, he's an orphan.
Join the club."
And he feels bad for other people that get orphaned. As a kid,
how did you
I'm
feel about the
sad billionaire. Oh,
Yeah.
How did you
poor
feel about
baby.
the character arc? Because I thought it was really interesting the way he was. What's the word? God, I'm blanking. I'm having COVID brain. He didn't really like Alfred very much until the final arc.
Oh yeah, he's deliberately
like,
cut himself off. He's
Yeah.
cut himself off from all like
Yeah.
human contact, and he's just the Batman.
Yeah, and then then he has that turn where he does come to understand that.
And that really bad monologue, like
Yeah.
voiceover, which I didn't like.
But how did you feel about that? The characterization that Patterson brings to it.
Look, Pattinson is a great actor.
Patterson's good. It's the writing of the character.
It's a writing. I feel like he's. I don't know. They're trying to bring a lot of the Batman obviously has suffered as a young man, and that's why he's the way he is. But it's still like he's almost still needs to go to therapy.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
oh,
come on,
100%.
man. Like,
apathy. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, I think one of my problems with the movie is the more gritty, realistic they're trying to
Colin
do.
Farrell was playing the Penguin.
Yeah,
Man, that was some good makeup.
yeah,
That
he's
was
really good.
damn good makeup.
They're making a
making a
TV
show,
show.
man.
Like
See, this is
Penguin.
because you don't have. Did you have Wi-Fi on the plane? You can't look it up while you're watching it. He got surprised.
Actually, I could get some Wi-Fi on the plane, but that's a story for another time. No, but it's just I didn't just from the way he looked. I did not.
Yeah, he looks
expect it to
completely
be
different.
He's very
Colin
good.
Farrell.
Yeah, he
Damn.
was good in that movie.
Yeah, I particularly
yeah.
enjoyed the Penguin. Jeffrey Wright did a pretty good Gordon.
Yeah, he was
like-
good.
Yeah.
I think they should have fleshed him out more.
Yeah.
I think for a 3-hour movie, it didn't
Yeah.
flesh out any of the characters or the story enough.
I want to
and
see
it
a bit
was-
more of Gordon's home life.
Yeah,
Maybe some sons. I did like the part where he was like, punch me in the face.
yeah.
And John Turturro's.
Oh, he's the
Spider-Man
best.
film.
So good.
He was,
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I recall him from Severance.
Yeah.
Is one of the more
Yeah.
vivid memories of him as an actor.
He's
for
so
me.
good in Severance.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
he was damn good in this.
He's great.
He had the nice, greasy mobster, but still,
Yeah.
he kept himself together.
Yeah.
I liked it.
He's really good.
Overall, I'd say a good Batman movie. It's rare to get a decent DC film, so I wouldn't say it's perfect because it definitely has its
No,
issues.
yeah.
James Gunn's working on it.
But
Stay
a
tuned.
good
Yeah.
Batman movie, I think personally.
Yeah. I think when we talked about it, I said people are overhyping it. It's not as good as
No.
they say.
It's not a terrible.
All the Dark Knight, all the Dark Knight trilogy
Yeah.
is better.
Yeah.
Batman 89 is better.
It's
you
not
know.
terrible, but it's not the worst.
Yeah.
Like
It's
better
compared to
than-
what we've got in comparison, it's
Yeah.
not a dumpster fire.
Better
Yeah.
than Dawn of Justice.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right, so India. So
Yes.
you land.
Now, yeah, when you land. Now tell us the...
So you land right, and the plane starts to smell. You can smell the country. It's a mixture of smoke.
Alan can say this because this is his home country.
It's a mixture of smoke and feces and other burning things, and that smell stays with you the entire time while you're there. Doesn't matter where you go. The air's never clean.
This is getting into dangerous territory.
Okay,
I think it's over the time. but-
the country has its issues, and for me, it was partly a spiritual journey of kind of paying my last respects to my grandparents who passed away at this point about 12 years ago.
Okay. When's the last time you went back to?
19 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So it had been a while.
Okay.
So basically, we, in my at least religion and culture, we cremate our dead,
Mm.
and you pass the ashes on into a river at a temple that's, I guess, significant to your family. And so I finally went to that place where, both their ashes were sent away.
And this is the village that your family's from?
Yeah, so the temple's actually about an hour away or an hour and a half.
Oh, okay.
So that's just kind of the significant one for us. And it was kind of, I don't know, it was a mixture of feelings, but it kind of, I guess, it felt important to me to be able to kind of take the final step to pay my last respects. So that was nice. We also went to a number of different other temples, which I sent some photos through to the boys. So, general spiritual journey, meeting family, of course, who I hadn't seen. There was like a cousin born that I'd never seen in person, and he was about 16 years old, so...
Wow.
Yeah, that was cool. But then...
Was he like, who's this old man?
Yeah.
Why doesn't he... What's up with his accent? I don't understand.
I was like, respect me, son, I got you a laptop here. And, that was all cool, but my parents were very restrictive of what you could and could not eat because... Obviously, hygiene is an issue in the country. And I was as careful as I could be and...
eating nothing but veggies.
Yeah, eating at home, basically. Nothing but home-cooked food. Bottled water. The one time at one of the temples, I had water from a bowl. The water in the bowl was filtered, but the bowl was not washed and filtered.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? So a guy at my work... comes from the same state as Alm's family. And I've been regaling him with Alm's adventures and showing him pictures because he's deeply invested in this. He wants to see him. Every time I saw him, he's like, have you got any more photos from India? And, because he recognizes some of the places, so he gets excited.
Yeah.
Anyway, I told him that Alm was not faring so well. And he laughed and he's like, he's the same as me. You leave India for so long and then you have to start boiling the water.
You've got reacclimatized.
Yeah. So it's like you get the white belly if you don't go back every so often. You know what I mean?
And so I've been suffering with white belly ever since. I think so. It was a week and a day in, where this had happened, and from that point, I was sick.
Yeah,
and I'd not stopped being sick.
And you were supposed to be there for like a 6-week trip or something.
Yes,
and like a week.
So after about 3.5 weeks, I said, "I'm out of here." I think I've done my time. I've done the things that I came to do. That was my most important aspect. I wasn't leaving anything unfinished.
Yeah.
So those were the important aspects for me. And
it's not like you were doing a tourist trip where you missed a whole bunch of stuff.
And, I wasn't particularly interested. My uncle and my parents may do some tourist trips, and I'm sure they'll pay for it.
Especially because your little cousins are going there for the first time.
That's going to be weird.
Wow.
We discussed that off air. That's going to be interesting if they're going to get sick because they're probably more at risk, I would say.
I'd say definitely.
Like little children, they're not as careful. They're not, maybe not as hygienic. They touch.
They get sick here,
Yeah.
So.
Kids.
Like when you're
little bodies. Yeah.
When you're exposing kids who are grubby at the best of times.
Yeah.
Just by the virtue of being kids.
Yeah.
Into an environment where everything is potentially dangerous.
Yeah.
It's interesting, right? Because in Australia, it's like. We're
take it for granted.
We're a pretty sanitary country, so and we have relatively good healthcare in our country. So it's interesting these kids will go there and suddenly be exposed to, lesser quality air, lesser potentially polluted water systems. But it's kind of, I guess, it's almost a life lesson, isn't it? When you go to a country where the facilities aren't the same as ours, and it's like not better or worse. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying that, but it's interesting. That's like when we had the COVID conversation, and you get people in Australia saying it's fine, it's just a flu, and then in other countries, you see that they have to dig pits to put all the bodies in.
People who complain, people who complain about how Victoria dealt with COVID, and then you look at almost any other country.
In the UK, the morgues were full.
Yeah, it's just we did all right.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything negative about India at all.
No,
I'm just saying it's interesting.
You take things for granted.
Especially for children to
Alan can attest to that.
To physically see the differences.
I miss Australia.
No, to physically see the differences between countries. I think it's
an important lesson.
It broadens your worldview. Even if you go to a country that's better than Australia, right? If you were to go to a country where it's like super Australia, where it's like everything's way better,
Scandinavian country.
Yeah, when you return, you're like, oh well, there's room for improvement here.
Exactly, it's like we need to pick up.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
It was an overall good journey. I would have appreciated not getting sick, but you do the best you can in the circumstances. I look forward to going again in a bit of a cooler climate though. Every day was about 30 degrees, which isn't terribly hot, but
that's not too bad.
Does it cool down at night?
The heat in Melbourne and heat in other countries is different, though.
Yeah, heat heats differently.
Yeah.
So what's worse, like Australian heat or Victorian heat or Indian heat? What's the difference?
You can escape the Victorian heat relatively easily, I'd say.
Mm.
Like if you're traveling in your car, you put your AC on, that sort of thing. You go inside a building, it's usually air conditioned. Whereas that's not always going to be the case.
Mm.
And for some weird reason, the house I was staying at, my grandparents' place, my mum's parents, the house would stay hot even though it started cooling off outside. And I was like, we need to put a giant exhaust fan or something to pump all the air out, because it'd be it'd be nice and like 21 degrees outside in the evening, but the house would still be like 29.
Because it's got the heat from the day is like insulating it in the house. That happens here. Yeah.
So that sort of issue, but again, I do appreciate being in Australia. It's nice, but there are certain things that you can only see there.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason I guess a lot of people go back.
I guess Australia being a relatively new country doesn't have, we'll say, a wealth of culture and history that a country like India would. There's a lot more to see spiritually.
Oh, it's completely different. Yeah, Australia doesn't have a spirituality or anything like that.
We do. Our spirituality is called money.
I thought you were going to say like meat pies or sausage rolls or something.
Footy, mate.
Footy. Our spirituality's got footy,
to be
mate.
fair, there is
and depending what state you're from, footy means different things.
There's also a deep, I guess, indigenous culture here, but that I think.
We're not just we're talking broadly.
But broadly, like I guess we'll call it white Australia.
Yeah.
We don't have like the nice castles and stuff of Europe and everything else. We just don't have the history of people.
Even like when I went to London, they have like Roman ruins. It's like this place is old, and it's like
London's
old buildings built on top of older buildings built on top of older buildings.
London specifically is a really interesting city because it's one of the oldest continually lived in actual city, like centers of commerce. Because it goes back layer upon layer upon layer. Like all the buildings are built on top of older buildings.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like you don't really have that in Australia.
Yeah. No. But when the Romans came thousands of years ago, they came to London. Like that was where they were set up, and so you've got that sort of layer of history. But,
it's interesting. So, it's nice to have you back, Alan.
Interesting. What if this is never going to happen? What if all the boys did an India trip?
We could do that.
It's not really a country though that all the boys. It's like it's not Bali.
No, it's not.
I feel like it'd be interesting though.
Like
I'd get a lot.
There are certain interest groups that go places like. If you're really all about the weed, there are certain like tourist groups that just go for the weed. Especially
is it legal nationwide there?
Well, basically, it's not really considered.
It's not policed.
Yeah, it's not policed because everyone's on the heroin.
That's the real issue. We need to put a warning at the start of this. Alam is Indian. He's from. It's okay.
I was born in India. It's okay.
Yeah,
I can say these.
He
things.
knows. He has the insider.
But like those are the bigger drugs that are the issue that kind of get seen. Weed grows randomly in places. So it's,
well, I know that like the whole kind of finding yourself thing is huge in India. The gurus. And
could do like a Beatles.
Whole groups of people go and to discover themselves.
I think it'd be interesting, but we're not part of that hippie demographic that would really laser focus in on.
I'd like to visit the temples, but I don't really care about the. I mean, I like the nature, but I don't care about hiking and stuff. Elephants, I like elephants.
But do you like tigers?
No, I mean I like them, but I don't want to. I don't want to be near them.
I'll ride an elephant, but I will refuse to ride the tiger.
You're not allowed to ride the elephants anymore.
Excuse me, I have a video.
Oh, you're not supposed to be allowed
I have a video of an elephant
I've seen the video.
on the road with their license or registration. All right?
That's something we don't have in Australia.
He was sending his videos during his trip, and it's like the most stereotypical Indian things you can imagine.
I know.
It's like, is this the real India, or is he tailoring it?
You have to go to Vic Roads. You have to go to Vic Roads for your elephant.
Like 100 people sitting in a truck traveling.
He's sending us the most stereotypical kind of things you can imagine.
The people hanging on the outside of the train.
Thanks, Alan, for not colouring our vision of your country.
That's what the guy at my work said. He's like, why is he showing you these things? He's like,
dick.
He should show you the good things. And then,
like, I'm showing the truth.
I'm trying.
I'm showing the truth. Like, as soon as you exit the airport in Delhi, there's literally a mountain of rubbish, like a mountain. It is from far away it might look like some nice hills and scenery, but it's just a giant mound of rubbish.
Wow.
And but they're working on it.
So what do you do with that?
They're now breaking it apart into organics and selling it to people as fertilizer.
That works.
Yeah. Some of it, at least. Some of the plastics you can't do. But.
Yeah.
I mean, they could recycle some of it. Plastics.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of like SBS documentaries or whatever, where it's like in Africa they use plastic bottles for irrigation and stuff. It's like because you can't, doesn't break down.
Yeah.
You might as well
use it.
reuse it.
Yeah, and it's cheaper than buying.
Manufacturing more.
What do we? Australia, they do the whole thing where they just push it into the ocean, right? We've done that before, I believe.
I think we just sell it to Indonesia or someone.
We send it to other countries.
We send it to a settled country to deal with it.
And then they just
we do the bad people things.
Yeah,
and they're supposed to burn it, but then they just lock it in a warehouse somewhere.
Don't get me started about Red Cycle.
Oh, we're gonna do it.
The Coles and Woolies company that does recycling, they just store it in the warehouses and forget about it.
Look how good we are.
Look how good we are.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's a big problem.
India.
Good. It's a good country to visit. You do need to keep your wits about you. And some people need to learn some manners there.
I feel like we would get taken for a ride though because we're not.
Oh yeah,
I got taken for a ride.
Yeah, but that would have been on you.
They can smell. They can smell your.
English. My accent is on par with the average Punjabi accent that's there.
Really?
It's just because I don't look like a brown man there. I clearly look like somebody from a Western country.
Because I suppose because you're lucky enough that you speak in you're like because a lot of immigrants, well, not a lot, but
my young cousins don't speak.
Yeah, I was gonna say some of them lose the ability to speak that native language, but you're lucky enough to have kept that because your parents speak that at home.
I basically got charged double the price for papadams, and I said to them, and I looked at them, and I said, I don't believe you. I said, somebody comes and tells me they're $5 a piece later on, I'm gonna come find you. And then he very ashamedly gave me another one, which set the price to about $6.50.
And that's when he spiked that bowl that you drank out of.
That was it.
So got to get this guy out of the country before he comes back.
So why did he single you out?
Well, basically, no. So this was the street vendors that come, around.
He smelled the tourist on
the
him.
village, and I waved him down, and he came by, and he's like, "I haven't seen."
You
this
were
man.
like, "Oi, mate."
He's like, "I haven't seen this man before. He's clearly a Westerner, and let's see if we can take him for a ride." I asked him at the start, so what price are the papadams? Usually $5 a piece,
$20 each,
and he said $10 a piece, and I said, "Oh, I know there's been inflation. The last time I was here 19 years ago, they were $1 a piece." Or $1 a piece, I should say.
It's a long time.
And I'm like, look, I'm not saying inflation hasn't happened, but 10 times the price seems a bit difficult. I said, all right, give me 2. And that's when I hit him. I'm like, somebody tells me they're $5 later on, I'm going to come get you. So then he gave me another one. Because obviously these gentlemen come around the village. So like he would cycle through this village daily.
I mean, also if you give him a bad rap, then it's like it affects his business. Yeah. So it's really in his interest to not rip out.
Give him that negative review on your.
Like I would because there are certain people that go from Western countries, but because they're also Indians at heart, they don't want to pay full price for something, which I think is a morally.
Whereas like Asian countries where you barter, that's just part of the.
But I feel it's a somewhat morally corrupt to do that when you've gone from a Western country. When you have
more resources.
When you have far more resources.
That's the thing. Like my parents recently went to Thailand. They went somewhere. And it's like they feel bad because they know these people don't make a lot of money. Yeah. So they feel bad to barter. They're just like, we'll pay you whatever you want. To us, it's nothing. But they want... That's part of
it's part of the expectation.
If you don't, it's like rude. And so it's like this weird...
that becomes this guy needs to be taken for a ride.
Yeah.
Which is the issue where I said, I'm more than happy to pay what everyone else is paying. I'm not going to try and barter the rate down. I'll pay the average going rate.
Yeah.
But don't overcharge me more than the average going rate because then I'll look like an idiot. It matters to not be seen as the fool. You get a safe face. Especially to be told later on while I'm munching those papadams. I paid double the price, and that hurts.
Where's the papadam man?
I'm like, get him on the bikes, boys. But like I said, I think it's a country worth exploring, but you do have to keep your wits about you.
I did see one of your photos. There were some really nice tracksuits.
Yes.
Oh yes, was it Adidas Gucci?
Cheap
Adidas
cheap
Gucci.
suits.
It was a
how cheap?
Oh, they were pretty cheap. You'd probably be looking at about $10 for the set.
Yeah, they were Gucci Adidas.
Did you get some for the boys?
They were.
We should have got matching tracksuits. It could have been like a Tuesday review crew.
That's it.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Why aren't you thinking of the boys?
I was trying to get out of there at the time.
You were doubled over, holding your stomach, going, "Nice tracksuits."
He had other pressing matters. There were other pressing matters.
Because I know I was supposed to bring back some gifts, just general souvenirs. But
oh no,
there was no time.
You were preoccupied with with some serious illness.
See, we have the legendary Gucci Adidas crossover.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Tell us about the homeopathy store.
Ah, yes.
That's one thing that did interest me that we hadn't had a chance to talk about.
Okay.
So
they do traditional medicine.
Yes. So because it's a country of massive spirituality, they still have big belief in homeopathy.
Yeah.
And even though most Western countries have almost outlawed it, or at the very least don't publicly fund it, because when you empirically test these medicines and their claims,
It's a scam.
it doesn't work. You can take the entire bottle of sleeping pills and, not be affected at all because they're just sugar pills with a little bit of alcohol sprinkled on. It's usually some kind of organic chemical compound, some kind of alcohol most of the time, to make it taste a bit funny and to make you think that it's medicine.
Because I suppose it all works on the placebo effect, right?
Most of it's placebo because I've got some pills. My dad decided I was snoring too much, and so I need to get some snoring pills, which is apparently a thing you can treat with homeopathy.
Yeah.
You would think
if it works, right?
you would think if the homeopathy is giving you tablets, wouldn't Western medicine also give you tablets for snoring? But no such thing exists.
We're not far along spiritually.
We're not far along. So I've been taking those for about a week, I think, and no change. But I'll continue taking those.
Yeah, why not?
Well, there's no change. There's a lovely medicine there called John Cough, Koff, and it said cough syrup, but the picture on the box appeared to be targeting a lung tumor.
Nice.
Are they selling syrup to deal with lung tumors?
It's just like a Simpsons joke or something. It's like
John Cough.
Here, try some John Cough.
John Cough. You get it because you cough, because you got the lung cancer.
I also got some weight loss drugs there. So that's also got a funny name.
Cue the diarrhea.
No, I haven't tried them yet. I've thankfully lost weight by myself. Thanks to the diarrhea.
Yeah.
But I intend on
See,
giving
that's
them
what
a
happens
try.
when you only eat vegetables.
Yeah, it's true. I had meat one day. That's some nice fish and chicken. That's it. The rest of the time it was lentils, some curries and more lentils, and yeah. Some would argue that's why I actually got my stomach going in the first place. Because
it's a dramatic shift to your body.
Yeah, my body's like, where's the chicken?
Yeah.
Where's the lamb sauce? And,
yeah. Because the stomach doesn't like its biome to be disrupted so hard, right? So
hopefully, I do seem to be feeling a bit better. Hopefully, a few more days of clean Western eating, and I'll be right as rain.
Say clean, but as clean as you can.
As clean as
KFC, yeah. As soon as you got off the plane.
No, I did the old classic. I got Subway.
Okay.
Old Faithful.
So he fell in
he fell.
in praise in front of a kebab store on the side of the road.
He got off the plane, kissed the ground.
It's not his fault. The kebab fell into his mouth. Right?
Yeah.
He slipped over and it fell into his mouth.
Well, yeah, that's about all for my trip.
Excellent.
Did you watch any movies there, like Indian movies?
No. Well, unfortunately, my grandpa's TV is just hooked up to the internet, and he got me to hook up my Netflix for him.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Fair enough.
Got to log in 30 days.
Oh yeah, they're doing that.
What?
Have you heard about that?
Keep an eye on that, otherwise they'll ban your account.
If Netflix is doing this stupid password sharing
they're doing the
thing
crackdown.
where if it's not if it doesn't connect to your home IP address within 30 days, it cuts off your account. It's stupid. Like we got really mad at it. Yeah, we got really mad.
Yeah.
We were like, what the hell? Like that's the whole point of having more than one screen
Exactly.
on your account.
That's why you pay the extra $10 a month.
Yeah.
Well,
and what if you're traveling? Like that's the whole point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Stupid. But if they do that, my friends and I have a ship. A lovely ship.
We talk about piracy a lot in Australia, but Indians are like god tier pirates.
Oh, definitely. There are like certain shopping areas where it's like Pirate Town, where you need any piece of software.
Yeah.
You bring your laptop and they'll put it on.
It's like cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Look, I'm sure the country has more pressing matters than enforcing copyright.
Oh yeah, of course.
More international copyright laws.
Yeah, no, who cares?
And at the same time, given the average wage there, buying a license for something like Microsoft Office,
it's
impractical.
Yeah.
You're spending like 2 months' wage on just Office, so it wouldn't work. You wouldn't be able to do that.
There's Open Office, kids.
Yeah.
It's free.
But people want the good stuff.
Yeah, that's right. But
So-
Open Office is good.
So if you got a software that they don't have, they call the man and the guy comes running from some other house with a USB stick and they plug into your laptop.
That's what I was going to say is like infrastructure wise, it's like there wouldn't be a lot. I guess it depends on where you are. It's a big country.
Years ago, they did a test, didn't they? Where it was like the average.
I wouldn't surprise if India has better internet than us.
So my grandpa's place, he's got fibre to the home in a village.
Wow.
A rural village.
Damn.
Yep.
And yes, obviously the backhaul isn't as great. So occasionally it drops out. And also, they kind of, I guess, throttle you. So you only sit about 50 megabits down and 50 megabits up. But at peak, it starts at about 140.
Damn.
So, and that's given that my house was fibre to the node, and I can only get 46 down, like 7 up. So
look, we got fibre to the curb at the moment, and I've sent some screenshots to Alan, and I'm getting like 6.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, Australian internet.
And again, like
they did a test a little while ago now, but it was like comparing the average, I believe it was Australian internet speed versus a pigeon carrying a USB stick.
they did. The pigeon won.
And the pigeon won in transferring a certain amount of data to another premises.
That's hilarious. Well, not really for us.
So, I mean, one might argue that, you know, the man coming to your house with the USB stick is more efficient than downloading it.
Yeah.
Depending on the distance travelled.
Yeah.
But I guess because of the cheap availability of labour, and I think there wasn't as much bureaucracy with power line renting. They were actually able to run fibre relatively easily. You just got to buy a plan. The plan costs you about $10 a month, and you've got fibre to your premises.
That's awesome.
Unlimited data, running at least 50 megabits up and down.
It's so funny because nobody cares.
Yeah.
There's no guy sitting there being like, you've exceeded your cap.
I mean, that's the problem with a lot of Western countries, like Australia, first world Western countries, Australia, New Zealand, UK, Canada, America. There's so much money involved in being the middleman.
Yeah.
It basically drags everything down.
Yeah.
So it's like when you cut out that middleman, you're just like, look, it's just basic. It's fiber.
Well,
just lay the fiber. It's electricity. Electricity costs something, but it doesn't cost as much as they want you to pay.
There's a lot of imaginary numbers.
It's a thing like a lot of people are fighting for is like internet access to internet should be like a basic, right that everyone should be able to have access to it. And so all these like telecommunications companies, can't do this, can't go there, we're throttling this, can't put wire, and the government can't put wires here because Foxtel doesn't it or whatever.
Years ago now, we left. We left a certain telecommunications provider. They might rhyme with Synoptus, because they were throttling us because we were downloading too much. We weren't downloading anything bad, right? We're just downloading too many games on Steam.
Yeah,
and Netflix all the time.
And Netflix all the time on the 4 screens.
Yeah.
And we were on unlimited data. And we got throttled.
Yeah,
and we called them up. Why is our internet too slow?
Yeah.
And we called them a couple of times. The first one was like, I don't know, restart your router, blah, blah, blah. Everything looks good on our end. Yeah. Called up a second time. I guess we got the tech or the engineer who really didn't care. And he was like, yeah, we're throttling you.
They should.
And we're like, thanks, mate. All right.
They should. The government should run the internet. Like, telecommunications companies shouldn't be profiteering.
It should be a service, not...
I think there should be a government option. Like, I think it's fine for companies to want to have their own, but you should be able to choose the government provider.
And the fact that now the National Broadband Network exists,
exactly,
that
the
is
NBN should have their own internet plans.
NBN should be able to offer something.
You shouldn't have to. It's the middleman thing that Nathan said. Yeah. But I think it was in America somewhere. I can't remember where. But they were like trying to make their own decentralized internet.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's like we're at this point now.
I think small towns have tried it, and it's
really affordable too.
Like if you have like small towns in America, I believe have done it.
Yeah,
where they have their own like town or county based internet provider, and it's wonderful.
They've even done like town-wide LANs, like connected whole towns together, kinda, and like there's like a cheap rate for it.
Yeah,
and it's done incredible things.
Yeah, because
Any last thoughts on India, Alan, before we move on?
No, it's a good country, but I'm glad to be home.
Yeah. Speaking of India, so last year, this movie called Triple R came out.
Yes, my grandpa was watching that.
Okay, right. So I kept everyone like because internationally it came onto Netflix. Everyone kept talking about it. Oh my god, it's amazing! It's epic. And I kept putting it off. Maybe one day I'll watch it.
Like all Indian movies, it's like 4 hours long.
Yeah, it's 3 hours long. I'm like, you have this idea of like what a Bollywood movie is, whatever.
Hey, that's not a Bollywood movie.
No, that's what I'm getting to that, yeah. I just kept putting it off. And I'm like, so the last couple of months, I've just been watching movies from the last year, like catching up. And I'm like, oh, Alam's in India, I'll watch this movie. Like it, whatever.
Yeah.
I put it on. Oh my God. It was amazing.
Really?
Yes. Everyone should watch it. It's on Netflix. It's not a Bollywood film. It's technically a Tollywood film because it's South Indian, right? It's Telugu?
Yes.
It's in Telugu language. Because they sold the rights to the Telugu language version to an Indian streaming service, Netflix only has the Hindi dub and the English dub. But the Hindi dub was fine.
What's the English dub like?
It's pretty good because the actors, they're Indian actors, so that they don't. It's not like the old kung fu movies when it's like, hey, you. And there's like English actors who have the English voices. So, So it was, oh my God, mind blowing. It was hilarious. It's like so crazy, over the top. There's like dance battles and like guys like fighting tigers and like flying through the air, and like there's one guy who always rides a motorbike and one guy always rides a horse, and they have this bromance. It's like most epic bromance ever, and it's like this Point Break thing where he's like an undercover cop. It's like set in the 1920s, imperial India, and like Indian like army guy goes undercover for the British Army for like the Indian to like infiltrate the Indian rebels or whatever, and then he ends up being like BFFs with the guy, and they have this bromance, and then he gets betrayed, and it's this epic crazy movie, and there's just, oh my God, it was awesome. So yeah, so now I'm like, I'm like, if you haven't watched it, everyone kept talking about it.
An Oscar?
Yeah, and the dance battle song won the best original song at the Oscars.
Wow.
Yeah, which I mean, considering how like popular it became overseas,
it's not surprising.
It's not surprising, but also like if India put it forward as their best international picture, like, could have even got nominated for that.
The Indian movies, Bollywood movies specifically, I guess, they're quite big in Australia now as well. Like, we've talked about on the show before about Hoyts basically stays in business because of these Indian films.
Yeah, it's a huge... Bollywood is bigger than Hollywood. Like, they make more films, they spend more money. I think cinemas are probably even more popular there.
Definitely.
But
it's like every movie is 3 hours long. It's not just...
Yeah, we've been to the...
See, if the people are coming to see the movie, you got to make it worth their while.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like, we've been to the movie seeing other films, and then it's like it's been packed with people for like a Bollywood movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, so the cinemas are so good to see.
We always complain they don't play the art movies near us, but they play Bollywood movies because it's popular here.
Yeah, and it keeps them in business.
Yeah.
It's awesome, yeah. It's great to see.
But now I'm like, now I have to go back and watch the director's like previous two films, which are also on Netflix. And I'm like, now I have to just watch more Indian movies.
So now,
not just Telugu.
This is very important.
Yeah.
Because I was discussing with Callum that we're going to have on the Saturday review.
Yeah. We can do it on this show.
Oh, we could. But it's going to be copycat specials.
Yeah.
So there's a Fight Club and there's the Indian version of Fight Club.
Yeah.
We're going to watch that. Then we're going to watch Old Boy and the Indian version of Old Boy.
They see, like, Indians, they're famous for remaking Western movies.
Remakes.
Unauthorized, yeah. Like Alam specifically chose ones that were like, this movie can never be remade properly in any way because the content in the Western version is like not suitable.
Cultural context is difficult to translate.
And also cultural context, but also like you'd never see the things in a Bollywood movie that you would in Old Boy.
In Old Boy, exactly.
Like, it's just completely, why even do it?
And you got to see how they kind of weave their way around it.
Yeah, because if you're like, okay, Transformers comes out, there's Indian Transformers, whatever, I was just picking a name. It's like, okay, it's popular, it's a popular Western American Hollywood movie. Of course they're going to remake it. But Old Boy, it's so weird. Mm-hmm. It's such a weird...
And that's why we're going to watch... Well, I mean, we can watch Old Boy first. I mean, we've all seen it, I'd imagine.
No, Callum hasn't seen it.
No, because I was going to watch it and you told me to wait.
We're going to watch Old Boy.
Yeah.
And then we're going to watch the Indian version.
Yeah, because you told me specifically to wait. Because wait till you get back from India.
All right, we're going to watch Old Boy at my place.
And then Indian Old Boy.
And then Indian Old Boy.
Is it called... Please hope it's called Indian Old Boy.
No, it's not. It's called Alive, I think.
Oh, okay. We just reference it. I feel a lot.
They also recently did Forrest Gump too.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, see that. So that makes sense.
That's also more of a very straight remake.
Yeah, but that kind of makes sense. It's like, okay, it's like a fairly inoffensive, famous American movie.
Yeah, and they can probably hit all the same story beats.
Yeah,
it's not,
you don't really have to change too much. Just like the history and culture is different. But yeah, Old Boy, it's so bizarre.
I think another one that they did quite well, to the point, was The Gift. That's that
one with Jason Bateman.
I think it's called The Gift, or something.
The revenge kind of one,
where the woman can see she can see like a death or something happening in the future.
Oh, I'm thinking of something else. Yeah,
I think it's called The Gift. It might be something else. But basically, she's got this paranormal ability to be able to predict kind of death and things. And,
okay, yeah.
And it's a bit of a twist story of like she finds out a killer and the killer knows she did it. And anyway, the Indian version I actually ended up watching was quite, I think, they hit all the story notes. Quite faithful to the original, purely because horror's great in the Indian culture of films.
Well, there's a couple of Netflix.
They love some horror.
Really, I didn't know that.
Well, there's a couple of Netflix Indian horror.
Like I know,
series that are quite high.
I know, budget. Like there's like Thai, Japan, Chinese horror, but I didn't know there was Indian.
The Indians love their horror. Again,
everyone does.
Yeah, but like
let's just say
something.
Yeah, but I didn't.
Something more technological or fantasy based is never really succeeds. Like Western films, like Harry Potter or anything else, they succeed because people are fans of the actual Western medium. But somebody trying to make an original film that's like fantasy based, first of all, the budget never gets there, kind of. Yeah. Like usually you need a high CGI budget, and that's never.
I mean, horror is the champion of low budget.
Bollywood. Like the big crazy Bollywood movies that, people watch clips on YouTube to make fun of because there's a guy who drifts a horse under a car
under a truck, sir.
Yeah. and then like, there's that famous Terminator one where it's just like the guy with the sunglasses and it's like all this really bad CGI. Yeah. And it's like they don't have the money to do it, but they do it anyway, and it becomes funny. I don't know how it's received over there.
It's never really that popular. I think they prefer it to be more grounded in reality. But a reality they accept is ghosts. They absolutely... Yeah. They're all about the ghosts.
There's also different... like, when you think of a Bollywood film, you think of singing, dancing, crazy action, kind of more fantastical. But there are Indian films that are very grounded and serious and quote-unquote realistic.
The Netflix... I'll look at what it's called. The Netflix Indian horror show is about, like... He's like a cop investigating
but even like dramas and there's more realistic ones. But yeah, I think when most people think of Bollywood, they think of that crazy over the top. That's what I love about Triple R. It was that crazy over the top, but it did it mostly really well. Yeah. Like it didn't feel that I wasn't laughing at it because it was cheap. Some of it was the CGI was a bit whatever.
The tiger definitely was.
It's called Ghoul.
Okay, maybe we'll watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's what I loved about Triple R. It was like. It wasn't a meme movie.
It was well made. Yeah.
I wasn't going, haha, isn't this so dumb because they make silly movies and we make fun memes and funny of it. It was like I was genuinely enjoying how awesome it was. Yeah. And then I downloaded another movie called Piku, which is like a comedy drama, Indian. And I was like, now I'm just gonna.
My mum watches Indian movies occasionally. Yeah. Because they do a lot of rom-coms too, and they hit.
Yeah.
She's a surprising lady.
Boxes.
Yeah.
She'll sit through Midsummer and be like, I didn't like it, and then she'll
but that makes sense. Like Midsummer is upsetting.
Well, even turn it off then. You don't have
the fact that she got through all 2.5, 3 hours of it. That's what's.
There was a movie called Zero in 2018.
Indian movie.
Yes, it only got a 27 on Rotten Tomatoes, but it was basically a film about a person of really short stature who falls in love with a scientist and stuff. And they use a mainstream actor who's of standard height. But that was one of the films where I think there's a YouTube video about people that work in CG and stuff. They were reviewing it, and they actually said this is some of the best CG they've seen done.
To shrink him.
And
it didn't look silly. Because if you told me there's an Indian movie about a guy who's like they shrink the main actor, I would be like, that's going to look so funny, and let's watch it to make fun of it.
They put in effort, like actual Western effort.
Oh, wow,
yeah.
That's cool.
Like areas that he would walk, they green screened around him.
Yeah.
And stuff just to make sure like it would work.
I think maybe with we're being unfair because we just see whatever's on YouTube, haha, funny.
Also, but Western
it's
movie
such a
CG
big
shit too.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say. Is like it's such a big industry in India. Like I said, like I didn't even know Tollywood was a thing until probably recently.
Well, we live in our own little bubble. Anyway.
That's what I'm saying. Is it's like
my state makes
so
much Pollywood. Good job.
Yeah, but so like there's so many. I'm like, there's got just like Western films. Most of the movies we talk about have crap special effects, CGI, or are just bad movies. So it's like there's got to be the good stuff. But I think it's also like a cultural thing. Like, you know, the dancing and singing is maybe more expected, whereas here we have musicals, sure, but it's not really part of our main movies.
No, I think it also. It's the democratization of filmmaking too. You can make movies with an iPhone. Like, it's also easier to make movies.
Well, that's
now.
a different thing. That's a different thing altogether because Bollywood movies are professional movies.
Yeah, no, but I mean, you can get smaller, more serious films, and
that's a whole another thing. Have you heard of those? Is it Wakaliwood? There's like a small Indian. There's a small African. I don't know if they're a studio or it's just like one guy. Like, they're making like just on their phones like action movies.
Yeah, that's cool.
And like they made 2 or 3 and they became like this big thing. And they look obviously dodgy, but it's like they're just doing them and people are.
But like the price to make these kind of big spectacle movies is also coming down in a way because the technology is cheaper.
Yeah.
Yes and no, because.
But then your actors start expecting more money as
well.
Yeah,
and we always talk about how they spend too much money. You know, Marvel doesn't need to spend that much money on CGI, but they keep doing it. And I'm assuming all other countries, especially India, would be the same. It's just like, maybe they don't have to spend that much money, but they do. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, we're way overdue for a break. We'll be right back after this. You are back on the Tuesday review. Moving on from our mostly Indian-centric episode this week. The Oscars have just happened. And
nobody got slapped.
Nobody got slapped this week.
Thank God.
Everything, everywhere, all at once.
So was Will Smith there though? He's been banned.
No,
right?
he
better be banned.
He tweeted, "I better watch from home this year," which I think is really funny.
No. That was at Will Smith. No. Yeah, it wasn't the real Will Smith. Okay. I did as Gareth Keenan would call an investigation.
Yeah.
I looked into it. It's another guy. It's another guy called Will Smith.
But their Twitter handle is at Will Smith.
That would have been.
It's not that.
I'm disappointed.
So
hilarious.
We never talked about the slap because
we don't have to talk about the slap.
It made me furious.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like the Oscars. I used to watch it because I love movies and because I'm like, hey, we do a movie review show. Maybe we should talk about the Oscars. Maybe I should tweet about it, whatever. But the last 3 years, I haven't watched it. And
we're better off not watching it, I think.
Yeah, and I think after last year, I'm like, it is just garbage.
Yeah.
Like, just the fact that, you know, you're putting 2 films against each other. It's like, who's to say which one's better? Yeah. Who's to say this actor was better than that actor?
All of a sudden, you're turning art into an objective thing rather than a subjective thing.
And it's all these industry professionals who are patting themselves on the back and they're spending ungodly amounts of money just to get their movie nominated.
Gift bags for attendees.
Like, it's such a scam in the first place. It's not even like they're being objective.
Yeah,
there's so much backhand deals.
You have to be a member. You have to be a member to vote, and a lot of the members don't even watch all the movies to have an informed vote. Some of them will only vote if their friend is involved with that movie, or maybe they'll vote.
Bag of cash.
Yeah,
laundry has been exchanged.
Yeah, or they'll vote for a movie they think they would like. So the whole thing's a scam. However, in saying that.
We watched the scam.
No, I didn't watch it. I have
Okay.
I'm saying it now. No one should watch the Oscars.
No.
Boycott it. It's garbage. Don't watch it.
Excellent.
That's not to say that the people
that's not to say we weren't happy with the outcome.
That's not to say that a lot of the people who won deserved it, and that's not to say that there aren't always a lot of good movies that are nominated. I think it's just it's just. Even though I don't like the Oscars, it's still nice when a movie you like or an actor you like wins one. You know what I'm saying?
So we discussed a while ago the groundbreaking film Everything Everywhere All at Once by Daniels.
Yeah.
And it's swept up. It cleaned up this
year.
It
won Everything Everywhere All at Once.
That's it. Yeah. And we were very pleased by the outcome because that's like our movie.
It won Best Picture.
Was it our favorite movie from last year or this year?
It basically won everything but Best Actor and Best Costume. essentially.
Yeah, it was like because we talked
Top Gun
about
won
it.
something.
Yeah, best sound or something, which that makes sense. But yeah, I think we talked about it last couple of weeks. Like, I think Everything Everywhere All at Once is still my favorite movie of 2022.
Yeah,
it's just such a strong movie. I think I said, Banshees of Inisherin was probably tied with number one, if not number two. And there's a lot of other movies, which maybe I'll talk about in the next couple of weeks because I've been catching up on all the movies. So I've got a top 5, top 10.
Yeah.
I could talk about that. I've seen pretty much all the Oscar-nominated movies. But yeah, I think Everything Everywhere All at Once was it deserved. It's such a good movie, and it's such a not a regular Oscar movie. Like,
I didn't think it'd win.
It wasn't.
I didn't think it would get nominated.
because it's not an Oscar baity type of film. Like The Whale. The Whale, we loved it, but that's Oscar bait. It's like when we talk about Oscar bait,
if not the movie itself, the performance is like, okay, he has to win the Oscar because it's such a strong.
And so that was another positive outcome. Was Brendan Fraser did in fact win Best Actor for The Whale, which he deserves, to making me feel pain when I didn't want to feel pain, even though I knew I was. Even though I walked in there knowing I was going to feel pain.
Yeah. But you didn't know how much.
Exactly. So it was good that he won the award for pain bringing.
Yeah.
And Michelle Yeoh won Best Actress, I believe, for Everything Everywhere All at Once, about a woman feeling pain.
Yeah. Jamie Lee Curtis won
in multiple dimensions.
Yeah.
I laughed when I saw a picture of it and there was a hot dog fingers in the background. And I said to my dad, I'm like,
they should have accepted the award wearing the hot dog fingers. I said to my dad, I'm like, look at that. They keep dropping the statue.
I must have sounded like a lunatic. I'm like, look, Dad, the hot dog fingers. And he hasn't seen it. So I'm just like, hot dog fingers.
That's the thing is like, I don't like the Oscars, but the fact that this movie got so much attention, now all the normies can have it.
I thought my dad's like, maybe I should watch it. I'm like, I have it on Blu-ray. I'll put it on for you right now.
That's a good and bad thing because as we've discussed, the more people who it's available to, that's good. But also then, your auntie watches it and she's like, that movie's stupid. I don't get it. It's like, but it's good that it's out there now and more, because when I first saw it when it came out, and I was like, I'm not going to talk about this show. I'm not going to talk about it with the boys because it's an A24 small kind of weird movie, and it wasn't until it started gaining traction that you boys are like, we're going to watch it. I'm like, okay, and then we watched it again, and then we were like, we have to talk about it.
Yeah.
And now it's got this big Oscar buzz, and so
I still want to talk about it. Have you seen it, Elm?
Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Yeah.
No, unfortunately not.
You should watch it. It's good.
We'll lend you the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's phenomenal. Legitimately phenomenal film, which earned the Oscars it won. It was like not to re-review the film, but it was such a lightning in the bottle moment where they created this.
It felt something special, like new, and it's like it wasn't something you'd seen a million times.
I described this to my dad as like the kind of science fiction, action, comedy, adventure drama that you might have got in the 90s before everything got overdone.
But also
with CG.
really modern and not something we've really seen. And
and I was like, it really brought back that sense of wonder and adventure and
that's
fun.
I think we talked about it when we talk about the movie. It's like, here's a movie, like this is what movies should be: well made, like well structured, well written.
Exactly.
Like if more movies were like this and weren't just CGI stuff flying around the screen.
Yeah.
Wonder how many people went to see it and were like, this is not like a Marvel movie.
That's what I'm saying. Is
they
like
roped me in, and now I have to watch this good film.
Now that the Oscars have come out and people, just regular normies are going to be like, oh, I'm going to watch this crazy movie, and so
why do they have the hot dog fingers? I don't understand.
It's about a woman going crazy over her taxes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you should watch it, because I think you definitely get a kick out of it, especially considering now that it won all the awards. So now you have to be a snob and be like, yes, I too thought it was excellent.
When you can appreciate the expectations of your parents angle in the movie too.
Yeah, put it on for your parents, and then they'll be like, "I hate it."
Hang on. We should wait for the Bollywood remake, yes, and then watch both back to back. Yeah,
that would be amazing.
Actually, if the guy who directed Triple R directs Everything Everywhere All at Once remake, I would be there.
I feel like there's fertile ground for a Bollywood remake of Everything Everywhere All at Once
with more singing and more dancing.
Yeah,
I would be down.
There's analogs there.
It could work. You could remake it, but not just follow it one to one. You could be like do it more from an Indian perspective.
Yeah, because it's obviously that Chinese American kind of angle, but you could easily translate that into like an Indian. Well, I guess we'll say substitute some of the sets and pretend you're in America or whatever.
So what would you do instead of the bagel? Would it be like the onion bhaji?
Yeah, like a pav bhaji.
$10 papadam.
A pav bhaji.
The papadam at the center.
It's a little burger bun with like a potato patty in it. You know? Yeah. Or you could wait till somebody else remakes it and then remake their remake. Like Memento was remade in Tollywood, I believe, first, and then Bollywood remade the Tollywood version.
See, that's the thing. India is such a big country with different like cultures and languages that like. Yeah, there's like 2 or 3 competing.
That's
like
awesome. Yeah,
5 different markets.
Like Hollywood is just Hollywood. Even if you're making a movie in New York, it's an American movie. Yeah. It might be an independent film. It might not be a Hollywood studio
you're
film.
Competing against every other.
You're thinking of it as an American Hollywood movie. But yeah, India is like. Yeah,
there's
they're like
1.3 billion people. I'm sure there's plenty of movie to go around.
Yeah.
If you make a movie and everyone throws you $1, you're a billionaire.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
Yeah, fascinating. But definitely watch Everything Everywhere All at Once. See what all the fuss is about if you haven't seen it already.
And Triple R.
We'll have to get on that.
If you're not convinced, watch the dance-off scene that won the Oscar. The Natu Natu dance scene that like won the best song Oscar. It's epic. And I'm not someone who likes like dancing and musicals usually, but it's so cool.
I reckon that's all the time we've got for tonight.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Thank you for coming, Alan.
It's my pleasure.
It's been an enlightening show.
If you, like I said, if you're looking forward to some weird discussions, please
stay tuned. Yeah, hopefully we'll get that set up.
But, thanks for listening, everyone. You can catch us every Tuesday live on the air, or listen to the podcast on the Wednesdays. You can most likely.
Yeah, no one listens live.
Please like and share the Choose Overview Facebook page, Twitter page, and Instagram at Choose Overview AU.
We have to delete Twitter. It just keeps getting worse. This guy.
No, we'll delete it after he forces us to pay for it.
Yeah,
at least after he bans us for making a parody Twitter account of Elon and then saying something funny.
Can I say, I'm invested in seeing Jordan Peterson's journey down the rabbit hole.
Wait, what's this?
We'll talk about it off air, but it involves milk.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Let quickly end the show before we say something we shouldn't. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Twitter, not so much.
I mean, if you got it, follow us, but don't get into Twitter.
Yeah, we'll hopefully we'll delete it and then you don't have to worry about it.
All right. We'll be back next week. Adios, cousins.